Okay, right. I think I've fixed my tech issue. So hopefully everyone can still hear me and can still see the screen. Thank you so much to everyone for joining. I do apologize for this late start. So let's carry on and get right into all of the amazing content. So the first thing to say is that this is your session. Please do ask any questions that you have to Dr. Feldman about the upcoming Medical Legal Consulting Conference. There is a chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Please add in questions as we go through the webinar, and I will go through all of those in the Q&A section at the end. So we've got a little bit of an introduction for you to begin with, to give you a little bit of behind-the-scenes information about what to expect and what you're going to learn at the conference this year, and then it will all be your chance to ask your questions. So, over the last 11 years, Dr. Feldman has developed and now refined a whole new branch of non-clinical medicine. The demand for this type of medical legal consulting is high, and this is your chance to work as a medical consultant to the legal community. You can use your hard-earned medical knowledge doing lucrative, non-clinical work in a new, dynamic, expanding area of medical consulting. So if you want to learn more, you are absolutely in the right place. Dr. Feldman is going to talk you through, as I said, the key points that you need to know about this year's upcoming conference, now in its 6th year. So if you're ready to secure your spot at the conference, there's a big green button on the right-hand side of your screen that you can click at any time that would take you straight through to the conference page where you can secure your spot and go ahead and book to be with us in person in April this year for the conference. But don't forget, spaces are limited, so I really do encourage you to do so today to avoid disappointment. Now is your chance to ask your questions. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Dr. Feldman to give you all the behind the scenes info.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kate, and thanks for doing such a great job as our webinar moderator over the years. And thanks to all of you for joining the webinar. It's just so great to have so many of you participating today. In fact, we had 72 physicians RSVP the webinar. So I'm going to start with a few brief remarks, and then we'll throw it open for your questions. I read in a recent study that 1 in every 4 physicians is looking to do some non-clinical work. I'm going to briefly discuss a new non-clinical consulting opportunity that you can do full-time as part of your existing practice or in lieu of retiring. And I'll tell you, I found non-clinical consulting, specifically medical legal consulting, to be really interesting, fun, actually. And I've worked out of a home office for the entire 11 years I've done medical legal consulting, and I've done well over 3,000 interesting, rewarding, and lucrative cases. Now, let me switch my slide. Okay. In fact, you're in the right place if you're looking for a great way to add to or change your professional direction, and you want to learn why you should attend the upcoming Medical Legal Consulting Conference, April 27th and 28th in Denver. In fact, if you want to register now, please call 303-619-0777. That's 303-619-0777. You can also register, as Kate said, by clicking on the green button, Secure Your Spot Now, in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Before going on, let me just take a moment and let you know medical legal consulting has not only been a great addition to my career, but to the careers of physicians who have attended past conferences. Listen to what Dr. James Kemmler has to say. For a handful of reasons, I decided to attend Dr. Armin Feldman's medical consultant course. In the first full year of starting this process as a part-time job, in addition to my orthopedic practice, we generated approximately $100,000. I'd like to thank Dr. Feldman for teaching this course and helping me to codify my process. So, In fact, whether you're interested in learning about a new way to use your hard-earned medical knowledge or a new way to find a lucrative addition to your practice, you've definitely come to the right place. I can tell you, in this age of constant change in the practice of medicine, physicians, after attending my conference, have called me, have emailed me with how this conference has really helped to change their lives for the better, both in terms of practice satisfaction and in terms of wealth. And I know it might sound too good to be true, right? But that's the repeated feedback I've gotten from doctors who have attended a past conference. And at this year's conference, you'll be able to directly talk with and question doctors who are using my system. You see, for the past 11 years, I've been a full-time medical consultant in legal cases. And it's important to say, I don't act as a medical expert, and I don't participate in medical malpractice cases. There's a big difference between a medical consultant and a medical expert witness in legal matters. In fact, they're two completely different things, and you can learn how to be a medical consultant at the conference. When doctors and lawyers think about lawyers hiring doctors, they really only think of one thing, and that's hiring doctors to be expert witnesses. Over 11 years ago, I started, and now through the years have been refining, a new branch of forensic medicine that involves working as a medical consultant in civil as opposed to criminal cases. All of this lucrative work is pre-litigation, pre-trial, and the work is not specialty specific. Any doctor in any specialty can be trained to work as a medical consultant in legal cases. I answer any kind of medical question an attorney has in their ongoing cases, and you can too. In fact, I'll teach you exactly how to do just that at the conference. This work is designed to help attorneys settle cases for better value with less attorney time. In all of our work, we're doing two things. First, we're helping attorneys negotiate and settle cases for better value. And we're helping attorneys get the appropriate medical care for their clients. I also want to say the work has been really rewarding. I'm helping people who wouldn't otherwise have been afforded this medical consultation help that they really desperately need. All of our work is either in personal injury cases or in workers' compensation cases, but I want to reiterate, a doctor in any specialty can do this work, and I will teach you exactly how to do that at the conference. In these areas of the law, personal injury and workers' compensation, approximately 9 out of 10 cases settle. In other words, the cases are negotiated, then a settlement is reached, and the case never goes to trial. So anything that we can do as physician medical consultants to help the attorneys negotiate and settle cases for increased value with less attorney time is very, very appealing to many attorneys, actually to most attorneys. In fact, I am very rarely asked about my specialty. I've been doing this work for 11 years. And if somebody would ask me what my specialty is, I'd say it's forensic medicine. But as many of you know, I was trained as a psychiatrist. But a physician in any specialty can do this work. Obviously, now, if the case is going to court, and in that 1 out of 10 cases in which you'll consult that doesn't settle, that is that the attorney will do depositions and go to trial, the attorney will need medical experts in every area of injury. But as you'll see at the conference, you'll be involved in those 9 of 10 cases that are negotiated and settled. That is where the attorney needs well-reasoned and researched medical opinions that any good physician can provide. In fact, the attorneys are much more interested in knowing if my reports, medical opinions, and other services will help them to better negotiate and settle cases than they are with regard to what my specialty is. So let's talk about the conference and what it's really all about. In other words, what we'll discuss, what you can earn, why attend this year, and who attends and why. So let's start with what we'll discuss. This conference is really about two things. First, how to start up and then successfully run your medical legal consulting business long term, and that's day one. Second, this conference is about the medicine you need to know, and that's most of day two. Take a look at the schedule. After your registration and breakfast, which is included, I'll start off talking about non-clinical work adding to your paradigm. What I'll talk about is how you make that leap to non-clinical consulting. Then I'll talk about what medical legal consulting is really all about. We'll go over in detail the services and consultations that you can do day in and day out. I'll give you all the specifics about the various services that you can offer. After the break, I'll talk about some small business principles for medical legal consulting that will help your business run more smoothly, more effectively, more successfully, and with less aggravation. Then my great friend, attorney John Ferris, will talk about what you need to know about the law, specifically personal injury law, workers' compensation law, and to learn about the workings of attorney offices. Then after lunch, which is included, we'll get down and we'll start talking about the nuts and bolts. First, we'll talk about the business plan, how to launch your medical legal consulting business. I'll take you through a step-by-step plan that will take you from zero to up and running with your business. Up and running being defined as now being in a position to go out and start meeting with attorneys. We'll follow that up with a step-by-step, complete, comprehensive, detailed, practical marketing plan too. And this marketing plan is really about two things. It's about how do you get your attorney clients, and also how do you keep them long-term. After the break, my good friend, Dr. Tom Moore from Birmingham, Alabama, will talk about his medical legal consulting business and his experience using my business system. And Tom has been doing medical legal consulting quite successfully for the past a little over 3 years. Then we'll have a number of physicians using my system get up on stage, and you can directly ask them questions. Then I'll talk about going from good to great. After the break, I'll give you your step-by-step operating plan. How do you operate your business day to day? And that's day one. On day two, after our breakfast, I'll talk about the 10-minute meeting, and that is your initial meeting with attorneys. I'll take you through, again, step-by-step plan. I'll show you the script that I use for that meeting. I'll give you all of the nuances. We'll talk about exactly how you conduct that initial meeting with an attorney prospect. Then my friend John Ferris, attorney John Ferris, will come back and he will talk about how you as a medical consultant adds value to legal cases. And then you'll have the opportunity to watch me do an actual meeting, an actual initial meeting, a video presentation. This wasn't staged. Some years ago, an attorney that I had known from the days when I owned my head injury rehab clinics was interested in learning about this. I said, hey, would you mind if I brought a couple of videographers along for our meeting? He didn't mind. And so you'll have the opportunity to take a look at that initial meeting that I did. Not staged, not edited, just run right through. Then after the break, I'll come back and teach you how to write great medical legal reports. After that, after lunch on day two, we'll come back and do some case studies. I'll go through some case studies. These case studies will elucidate the common kinds of medical conditions, injuries, medical consultations that you will do on a routine basis. It'll give you a lot of the medical education that you need to know. Then after that, we'll talk about understanding personality types for your medical legal business. Might ask why that's there. This is really about how do you communicate better with your attorney prospects and your attorney clients. And I think it'll help you in your communication in your everyday life. Who doesn't want to communicate better, right? Then we'll go into our medical workshop where we will continue to talk about the medical issues in doing this kind of work. And I'll finish up by telling you what you should do next. Okay, next, let's discuss what you can earn. The math's easy. I think you'll be surprised. So the way that I've been advising other physicians is do an informal survey of your colleagues. Determine what you think is the average fee per hour for doing medical expert work in your community. Now, obviously, there's a range. It really isn't that hard to figure the average. Once you've got that figure, think about as a medical consultant, charging maybe 1/2 to 2/3 of what the experts are charging. And I think if you think about that charge and then determine how many hours per week you want to do this, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. This is quite a lucrative endeavor. Then let's talk about why you should attend this year. First, you can still get in on the ground floor of this new field. There is a very, very high demand all over the country for these kinds of services, and there are really only a handful of physicians doing this kind of medical legal consulting. If you think about it, there are about 1 million MDs and DOs in the country. And unless someone has been trained by me, I can guarantee you there just aren't physicians doing this kind of work unless they've been through this training. And that is a handful, a thimbleful compared to the 1 million doctors in the country. The field is still wide open. It is not too late to be in that first wave of consultants. And finally, who attends? Doctors from any and every specialty. We've had the complete range of specialists. Those doctors who want to start doing some non-clinical consulting. Doctors looking to take back their autonomy. We all know about the avalanche of bureaucracy that has been dumped on us in the last few years. This is a refreshing chance to get out from under the bureaucracy, own your own business, set your own goals, your own hours, your own fees, and really get back to enjoying the practice of medicine the way that you want to do it. And finally, doctors who want to do something new full-time, those who want to consult part-time as part of their existing practice, or those that want to do something interesting and lucrative instead of just fully retiring. Okay, Kate, I think that is a good enough introduction to open it up for questions from the physicians on the webinar. I would be just happy and thrilled to answer your questions. So fire away.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Feldman. I think that was a great introduction. So just a reminder to everybody, put your questions in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will go through those for you as they come through. In the meantime, whilst you're thinking of those and furiously typing them into the chat box ready for Dr. Feldman to answer, don't forget that you can secure your spot at the conference right now using the big green button on your screen. Click on that. It will take you to the conference webpage. Scroll down and you will see the form where you can sign up straight away. Spaces are limited and we have sold out for the last 5 years. So please do not miss out on your chance to join us in April. So we've had some questions that have been submitted pre-webinar. So I'm going to start with those. And in the meantime, please do ask us your questions in the chat box. So Dr. Feldman, that was a fantastic introduction. Can you let us know, do you have to be a certain speciality to do this work?
Yeah, Kate, that's a great question. Also, let me say, if you want to register by phone, call 303-619-0777. So no, it doesn't matter what your specialty is. Uh, this kind of consulting, I answer questions for attorneys that cover the entire field of medicine. And one thing I can tell you about that is that the attorneys with whom I consult don't expect me to be a walking, talking encyclopedia of medicine. They know that in order for me to give them good answers to their questions, I'm going to need to do research. I charge for my research time. They don't have a problem with that. In fact, they really expect it. And I'll tell you, if you are a lifelong learner, if you enjoy learning new things, if medicine intrigues you, one of the great things about doing this, one of the things that has been just a pleasure for me and so much fun is I have learned so much medicine that I really wouldn't have known by doing this kind of consulting. Now, of course, I'm not prepared to do any spine surgery or anything, but I would put my knowledge of spine injuries up against anyone. And that's been one of the real pleasures of doing the work. So you're going to be confronted with a medical question. You will interview the client of the attorney. Typically, 95% of the time, I do that by phone. If I really feel I need to see the client in person, I will do that in the attorney's conference room. Then I'll read the medical records, and then I'm prepared to do my medical research. I'll do my medical research, and then I'm ready to write my report or give my verbal report or provide whatever service it is I'm going to provide. So your specialty, being board certified, none of that really matters. What matters to these attorneys is, can you provide them with the medical information that they need and the medical opinions that they need in order to better negotiate and settle their cases. Now, the attorneys will take a case to trial if they need to, but by and large, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to try to settle that case, and that's what we're going to help them to do.
Fantastic. We've got lots of questions coming in now. So David has asked, are consults local or national?
Again, I'm sorry, Kate, but I missed the name, but I'll tell you that's another great question. Here's the answer. Every one of these medical legal consulting businesses is a local business by the nature of the business, by the nature of the marketing for the business. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, it's impractical to try to do consulting outside of your local area. I can guarantee you, look, I've been working with physicians all over the country for years. I can guarantee you there is demand for these services in every place in the country, every locale in the country. So you don't even need to think about going outside of your local area.
Fantastic. That one was from David, Dr. Feldman.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. We've got a question from Jeffrey, who has just put down tuition/fees. So I think, Jeffrey, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Jeffrey is asking about the tuition cost for the conference.
Oh, okay. The tuition cost is $12.95. There are no fees. And let me tell you this, one of the very first things that I say at this conference is, when you leave, I have got this memorized, when you leave this conference, you will get all of the tools and all of the instruction that you need to go home and do this kind of consulting, to start up and to successfully run your business long term. Not only will you leave with all the business concepts, the conference is about two things. It's about the business concepts, it's about the medical understanding. And you will leave with that, along with all of the tools that you need to go home and do this successfully.
Fantastic.
Well, again, just to make it clear, tuition fee is $12.95. It includes your breakfast, it includes your lunch, and it includes a binder for you to take home That's really your business manual when you get home. And that's the cost of cover.
Absolutely. I mean, the amount that you learn over the 2 days of the conference is enormous.
Yeah, in fact, I would encourage physicians on the call, go to the conference website and take a look at what your colleagues are saying about attending this conference. I think it'll be helpful to you.
Absolutely. So you can do that by clicking on the big green button on your screen as well. So we've got a question from Graham, and Graham has asked, how versed do you need to be in the field of worker comp and personal injury law and regulations?
Right, good question. And the answer is you don't need any specific medical knowledge or training before you start doing this work. There's a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. So as I mentioned earlier, my field was psychiatry. In fact, my area of specialty was mild traumatic brain injury, and I wound up owning outpatient head injury rehab clinics all over the country, which I eventually sold. After I sold those clinics and I was thinking about what I wanted to do next, I thought, well, maybe I did a lot of work as a medical expert, which I can tell you I really didn't enjoy that much, but I wanted to do that on behalf of my patients. But I was thinking, well, what could I do next? And I thought, well, maybe what I could do is consult to attorneys on any kind of medical question that they have in a case. Didn't know if there'd be a market for that, really didn't know what kind of consults I'd be doing. I can tell you there is definitely a market. And you will do, first of all, you will get the education you need to go home and start doing this. And then you will do what I did, which is when you're confronted with an issue in a case, you will do the research in order to help the attorney answer the attorney's questions and help them with that case. Let me give you an example. So let's say, well, first of all, let's say the question is this particular surgical technique preferred or not? I'm not qualified to answer that question, but I can tell you in 11 years of doing this kind of work, maybe less than a dozen times have I felt I couldn't do the consultation and I needed to find an expert who could. But let's say, for example, that someone tears their rotator cuff at work. They go through the appropriate conservative treatment, doesn't really help. They go to the surgeon, and the surgeon says, well, we're going to need to do a repair surgery. That's done. The patient goes through the appropriate post-surgical treatment, physical therapy, and so forth, and then goes back to that surgeon and says, well, doctor, I'm essentially says, hey, I'm having all the symptoms I had before. I'm having pain. I don't have range of motion, and so forth. And so the surgeon who did the surgery says, well, as you remember, before the surgery, I did say in a certain number of cases, we need to do a revision surgery, and that's what we need to do in this case. So the insurance company says, well, we couldn't possibly approve another surgery without an independent medical exam. And that exam is done. The report comes back. It's not favorable. The attorney, by the way, I attended that IME and observed the history and the physical. The attorney then asked me to write a rebuttal report. Well, I'm capable, you're capable, any good doctor is capable of reading about rotator cuff tears, reading about the surgery, and then going to the current literature, and there's articles on every kind of condition, but going to the current literature and finding out what the experts are saying are the current indications for revision surgery, and then writing up a report and talking about the case, and then giving the medical literature that indicates what the current indications are for revision surgery and rebutting that IME report. And in fact, if you come to the conference, you'll get my report. It's in your binder. You'll get that report of that specific case. And I can tell you that based on my report, and I'm not an orthopedic surgeon, but based on my report, that client was afforded a revision surgery. So as long as you're willing to, and you enjoy taking a look at the medical literature and piecing out the case, Any physician, any specialty. You don't need any special training. You don't need to know about the work comp system. You don't need to know about PI. You will learn this as you go along. I hope that answers that question. It was a little long-winded.
Lovely. Thank you, Dr. Feldman. We have a question from Larry, and Larry asks, I may be unable to attend, but am very interested. Is there an option for video or written materials for purchase?
Yeah, thanks, Larry, for asking the question. There are two ways to learn how to do this. You can come to my conference. And as I said, I tell you that when you leave, you'll be ready to go. Now, the other way to learn about it is I do have what I call my medical legal consulting coaching program. And that is a remote training program where you get not only all the tools and all the concepts and all the things for the business and for medical, but you also get a year of coaching with me. And you can start that coaching program at any time. I will help you along and do anything that I can to help you to be successful in your medical legal career. So you can certainly join the coaching program at any time. If you would, we don't have this on the screen, but if you would go to MD, short for medical doctor, BIZ, short for business, CON, short for consulting. If you would go to mdbizcon.com, there's information about the coaching program, or just shoot me an email, or in the chat box, just let us know you're interested in coaching and I'll get back in touch with you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, so Safa has asked how much medical legal consultant makes hourly? So, how much does a medical or legal consultant make hourly?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And here's the answer. Um, because of U.S. Federal Trade Commission rules and regulations that have the force of law, we are not allowed to talk about the specifics of what we charge. In fact, to do so is against the law. And if I would talk about that in this conference, I could actually be fined $71,000 for every time I mention it. So, as I said earlier, what you want to do is find out what experts, medical experts, are charging in your area and charge a little less per hour.
Lovely. So, Joe has asked for a retired physician, do you have to have active malpractice insurance? And do you have to be licensed in the state in which you are going to consult? Are you limited to consulting in the state of your residence?
Great question. I'll answer the second one first. No, you don't have to be licensed in the state in which you're consulting. The key is you do want to have some kind of medical license. By the way, if you're retired, you can even do this with an inactive license, but you want to have a medical license. Okay, here's the answer to your first question about medical malpractice. There are actually two answers to the question. Let me give you the bottom line answer first. And that is, if you're really concerned about whether or not you need MedMal insurance for this, hire an attorney in your state to give you a written opinion. It will only take a couple of hours of their time. Okay, let me give you the second answer to the question. I am not an attorney. I don't think you need medical malpractice insurance to do this kind of work. I don't carry it. I have never carried it. I have never, never say never, but I have never come close to a sniff of anyone threatening to sue me. All of my clients are attorneys. I've done thousands of cases, and they certainly know how to sue people. I have never come close to getting sued. That doesn't mean that I couldn't, but the chances are fairly remote. Let me tell you why. First of all, I think I do a good job, but I could get sued anyway. The other reason is I am hired to render a medical opinion. And as long as I render that medical opinion in good faith, in other words, I take it seriously, I interview the client of the attorney, I do the appropriate research, I write an appropriate report, even if the attorney isn't happy with my opinion, they have hired me to give my opinion. And as long as I do that in good faith, it's very difficult to sue someone. Now, that reminds me of something else. Sometimes I'm asked about being a hired gun. And let me say something about that. One of the great things about being on this side of the fence, that is, working for plaintiff and claimant attorneys, is that these attorneys want and value our straight up medical opinions. These attorneys want to know if it's your opinion that you think they don't have a case for whatever the reason, pre-existing condition, malingering, primary gain, second, primarily driven by secondary gain, whatever the issue. These attorneys want to know your straight up medical opinion. So, for example, if I tell the attorney, well, look, I don't think you have a case here. What the attorney says, thanks, Dr. Feldman. I appreciate your telling me that. At that point, I'm out of the case. I send my bill. What the attorney does is they're going to try to settle that case as quickly as they can for whatever they can get. Okay.
Okay, so Owl has asked a follow-up question to that, saying, what about someone who's retired some time ago?
I missed the last part. Required what?
So Owl has asked, what about someone who has retired some
Yeah.
time ago?
Right. So if you're retired, I think a lot of physicians have trouble getting this sorted out. If you are a medical expert and you're acting as a medical expert in legal cases, you need to be practicing. For the purpose of helping attorneys negotiate and settle cases, in those 9 out of 10 cases that never go to trial, you do not need to be practicing. What you need is to be able to deliver to the attorney very good medical opinions backed up by evidence from the literature, and provide them with other services that I'll talk about at the conference that help them to better negotiate and settle the case. So very quickly, here's another service that I provide. I act as a liaison between attorneys and treating doctors. So if the attorney calls the treating doctor's office, says they want to talk about some medical issues, not likely they're going to get through. So, and I think I was the first physician in the country to do this. So now physicians can hire me to act as a liaison between the attorney and the treating doctor. I can go to the treating doctor's office and set up an appointment, go to their office. And sometimes you can do it by phone, but mostly you need to do it in person, and talk to that treating doctor and say, hey, here's the attorney's medical theory with regard to causation in this case. Did you agree with this? And we're going to find out if that treating doctor is going to be make for a good witness at trial if it needs to go to trial.
Okay, so Anthony has asked, why would an attorney want to hire a consultant rather than an expert?
Yeah, well, first of all, until I started doing this work, there weren't medical consultants. And attorneys, by and large, unless the only reason that physicians get involved in legal cases is if they need a medical expert at trial, or if there's some perceived crisis related to the medical issues in cases. And in the past, when that was the case, then the attorneys would go out and find an expert. But the fact is, when they're negotiating and settling cases, they don't really call on medical experts in a routine manner. In fact, they hardly call on them at all unless they're going to trial. So now they have the opportunity to bring in a medical consultant who is on their team and helps them to negotiate and settle the case. So, in fact, when you go out and you meet with attorneys, some of them will say, gee, I've never heard of a doctor doing this. And by the way, I don't want to start now. But many of the attorneys, really, if not most, they get it. They understand how these services will be of value to them and their clients, and specifically how it's going to help to improve their bottom line. And enough of those attorneys are certainly willing to try you out on one case. And of course, enough of those attorneys will start using you routinely. So you got to go and meet with the attorney, educate the attorney, and make using a medical consultant a routine part of their case. And as I said, when you do that, some attorneys will say no. but there are so many attorneys who get it, and they are thrilled, really, to have a medical consultant on their team. And by the way, I'm not charging my fees are a little lower than what experts charge.
Fantastic. So Joe has almost kind of given us a follow-up question to that. Do you have or provide recommendations for lawyers throughout the country that are interested in this service?
Do I provide? I'm sorry. Do I provide the attorneys?
Yeah, so do you provide recommendations for lawyers throughout the country that are
Ah,
interested in this
yes, I
service?
get it. Okay. So I'm not a broker of cases. I'm going to teach you how to have your own medical legal consulting business. And part of that education is I'm going to teach you how you market your business. And when I say market, what I mean is how do you get your attorney clients initially? And then, of course, how do you keep them long term? So you're going to be going out, meeting with attorneys and telling them what you do and bringing attorneys into your referral base. It doesn't take very long to know how many attorneys you're going to need to do this work full time, or for most physicians, how many attorneys you're going to need in your referral base to do the part time hours that you desire. So, it's not rocket science, but I will teach you exactly how to get your attorney clients. And since every one of these businesses is a local business, you're not going to be stepping on anybody else's toes around the country.
So Safa has asked a question which follows up on a question we had earlier, but just to recap and confirm again, the upcoming conference is in April 2019. If I can't make it, when is the next conference in 2019 or in 2020?
Right. I do one conference a year. It's usually the first week in May. Unfortunately, the hotel I wanted to use was booked, so this time we're the weekend before. So I just do one conference a year. Conference won't be in Denver next year. I don't know where it will be. We'll think about that after the 1st of May. But again, if you would like to get started now, consider joining the coaching program. I can help you to get up and running in that way.
Wonderful, thank you. And everyone, I have put the link to the coaching program information into the chat box as well. So I'll pop that in again. And you can, of course, secure your spot at the conference using the big green button on your screen or calling 303 619 0777. So, in terms of how much time all of this takes, is it a full-time job? Can I work part-time? How long does it take?
Yeah, another great question. And here's the answer. You need at a minimum about 8 hours a week in order to do this business justice and make it fly. The majority of that minimum 8 hours needs to be during the regular work week. Now, if you want to write your reports at 3 in the morning, I don't recommend it, but you could certainly do so. But you need time during the regular work week to talk with and to meet with attorneys in your local area. So if you don't have 8 hours a week, I tell physicians don't do it. If you have 8 hours or more a week, you can have a very lucrative, successful business. You don't need to do it full time. In fact, the vast majority of physicians doing this are either doing it as part time, as part of an existing practice, or in lieu of retiring. There are some physicians doing it full time, but most physicians are doing it part time.
So, how can we actually start the consulting business? How do we market the business? How do we get started?
Yeah, well, here's what I can tell you about the marketing plan. First of all, it doesn't have anything to do with advertising. In fact, it really doesn't have to have anything to do with spending money. What it has to do with is old-fashioned elbow grease. There is no getting around the fact that you have to call attorneys and you have to meet with them face to face. Now, by the way, what's interesting and what you'll learn at the conference is doctors, it's not our thing. Doctors are not natural salespeople. Obviously, there's some that are, but doctors, by and large, are not natural salespeople. But we all know how to teach. We've all had the experience, see one, do one, teach one. So I've set up that initial meeting with the attorney as an educational experience for the attorney with you as the person teaching them about these kinds of services. So that's what the bulk of that initial meeting is about. How to do that, scripts to do that, show a video of me actually doing that. It's all part of the conference. I'll tell you, when you get home, you will be able to do this. And by the way, all the scripts that you need, so forth, they're all in your binder, all in your business manual that you'll take home.
Wonderful. So we've talked about the tuition fee, but how much does it actually cost to get the business started?
Okay, good question. That's a very good question because the startup costs, certainly compared to most startup costs for a small business, are minuscule. You need to buy some domain names. By the way, you will need to get a template website from someplace like GoDaddy. It's $9.99 a month. You will need a computer. Everyone's got a computer. You'll need to print some cards and brochures. The startup costs are minimal. As I said, this business is much more about elbow grease than it is about spending money.
Wonderful. So does the conference supply CME credits?
Yes, it does. The conference supplies 15 Category 1 CMEs, and you will, as with any conference you go to, you need to fill out a evaluation form at the end, and then you will get your certificate either mailed to you, U.S. mail, or emailed to you. Usually takes about 6 weeks to get your certificate.
Wonderful. And how long does it take to get the consulting business up and running after the conference?
Yeah, another great question. So if you put your mind to it, you can get through that business launch plan that I'll give you in about 3 weeks. And that means you're up and running, ready to start meeting with attorneys. From the time that you start meeting with attorneys to the time that you should start seeing some cash flow, if you're on average with other physicians around the country, that's about 3 months. From 3 months on, you should be making money. Now, to the time that you have an absolutely thriving business, thriving practice, it's like starting any practice. It's going to take about a year, but you'll start making money at about 3 months.
Okay, and how long does the average consult take to do?
Another good question. The average consult takes somewhere between 5 and 10 hours.
Lovely. And Jerome has asked, can one limit the consulting service to a speciality like orthopedics?
No, then you're really just being an expert witness. As I've said, there's a huge difference between being a medical expert and being a medical consultant in legal cases. If you want to limit to your specialty, I suggest you act as a medical expert and not as a medical consultant.
Okay, so what kind of learning curve is there to get up to speed and hit the ground running?
What kind of what, Kate?
What kind of learning curve is there?
Yes. Again, another good question. When you leave the conference, you'll have what you need to get up and running. Now, once you get up and running, you're going to go and you're going to start going out and meeting with attorneys. They're going to present you with cases. When you get the case, you will then need to, here's what I do in every case. I first get the information from the attorney. Then I interview the client of the attorney. 95% of the time, I do that by phone. Then I'm in a position and I'll go out and do my research, whatever it is I need to research. And then I'll either write my report or provide my service. So you will learn as you go. And you need to learn enough. I mean, you don't have to be an expert. You don't need to be a medical expert in everything. You need to learn enough to help the attorney with the medical issue at hand. It's kind of fun, actually.
Excellent. Sounds good. So, can you describe some of the specific kinds of consults that you do? I know we've talked about some examples earlier, but do you have some more specific examples for us?
Sure, let me give you two. The service that I provide most is to provide comprehensive medical summary reports. By the way, that's a term I invented. I think it describes it well. Provide comprehensive medical summary reports that attorneys use as part of their settlement demand letters. So in that medical summary report, I'm going to talk about the entire case, but specifically, I'm going to talk about ongoing medical problems. I'm going to talk about causation. I'm going to talk about mechanism of injury. I'm going to talk about functional losses. I'm going to talk about future medical care and costs. And I'm going to back up all of my opinions with evidence from the literature. And that report will also include past medical, all the medical records, my opinions on future medical care and costs, and what the attorney, some attorneys will use that to do the medical case coordination on the case, but far, far and away, attorneys use those reports as part of their settlement demand letter. So the attorney will write their standard settlement demand letter, and then they will also include my medical summary report as part of their settlement demand letter. So and what attorneys have been telling me for 11 years, in fact, is that by using my medical summary reports, they are settling cases for better value and with less attorney time and more often. So another service that I offer is I answer specific medical questions in cases. Let me give you a quick example. 22-year-old woman stopped in traffic and is rear-ended at a high speed. 6 hours after the accident, she develops acute appendicitis. The attorney wants to know from me, is that acute appendicitis accident related? I can tell you when I was on the phone with the attorney, I thought, no way, no way. Well, I went to the medical literature, and what I found out is that blunt force trauma to the abdomen, particularly in teens and young adults, can and does precipitate acute appendicitis. In the accident, even though she was properly restrained, this 22 young adult woman was thrown with enough force to have significant blunt force trauma to the abdomen. So I wrote up my report, and it was my opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical probability, that the accident was the immediate and proximate cause of her appendicitis. And that flew with the judge, and that was included in the settlement.
That's a great example. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Feldman, and thank you so much for answering all of the questions that have been put through. So if anyone has any final questions before we wrap up today, we're almost at the top of the hour, so please do put those in the chat box quickly and we can get those answered for you now. And don't forget that if you want to secure your spot at the conference, you can click on the big green button on the right-hand side of your screen or call 303 619 0777 to to secure your spot over the phone. So we've had a question come in from Safa. Do you get certificate of training after completing the conference?
Yeah, if I again, I'm having a little trouble hearing, but if the question is, does an attorney speak at the conference? Yes, Attorney John Ferris will talk about what you need to know about the law, PI law, workers' comp law, and the workings of attorneys' offices. He'll also talk about how we as medical consultants add value to the case. John is also gracious enough. He sticks around during the entire conference, and he is followed by a group of physicians participating. He is happy to answer all your questions.
That was really handy to know, but wasn't actually the question. But that was
sorry.
The question from Safa was, do you get a certificate of training after completing?
Oh, I see. No, you don't. But actually, I like the idea. I've had physicians, particularly physicians in my coaching program after me now. There are enough of us now to form our own society, the American Association of. And it's on my list. I haven't done it, but I think it's coming. And eventually, I suppose, we'll have our own certification test and so forth. But it's in my mind. It isn't. It's a little bit on paper, but it isn't a reality yet.
That sounds wonderful. And of course, you do get those CME credits.
You do get the CME credit, yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Feldman. I think that has been absolutely fantastic to really break down the details of the conference and has shown everybody exactly why they need to attend this year. It is absolutely invaluable training. And yeah, we look forward to seeing as many people there as possible.
We do. Thank you, Kate. You always do such a great job. And thank you for everyone that's on the call. Click on the green secure your spot and get to the website. If that doesn't do it for you, call me. I'll answer your questions in an individual call.
Excellent. So just to confirm, that phone number is 303-619-0777. So please do not miss out. Like I said, the last 5 years have sold out. So please do get in quickly to secure your spot at the conference, and of course to secure your hotel booking as well before the rooms go.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you at the conference. Take care. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.